Come on. You've got mail.
Oh.
Cardcaptors, a mystic adventure. Cardcaptors, a quest for all.
How many guys get a dinosaur for a little sister?
Stop calling me a dinosaur! I am Kiro Barros, guardian beast of the Seal of the Cloud Book.
Nelvana. Cue the light bulb.
Illuminating television.
The company where it's located. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The year it was founded. The duo Michael and Patrick met at York College at the time. Patrick was a part of the underground film scene when Canadian film was not at its peak and still growing. Clive was well known for helping and assisting Yellow Submarine in 1968. The trio would get together and create Laugh Arts, which would make various projects under Laugh. The company would acquire rights to comic book titles from the 1940s. These IPs would be made into a documentary for the CBC. In addition, the trio would have a touring art exhibit for Canadian history called Comic Art Traditions Canada 1941 to 1945. A year would go by before their company was dissolved, as the business card and mascot was unprofessional to investors. Basically, it was a businessman with his pants down. Go figure, right? Albeit, it was only the beginning for the trio. Laugh Arts would dissolve, but this wouldn't stop them from making another company as they were continuing their tour of nostalgic Canadian comics. Hirsch started the new name, which came from the old Canadian comic book superheroine, Nelvana of the Northern Lights. This name from the World War II comic era founded Nelvana in July of 1971. The goal was to make live action and animation just as they did in the past. Nelvana started out in a small apartment in downtown Toronto. The trio was so broke, to create Zooms, a wooden stand mounted over a toilet was built to help them create their work. While most business transactions and survival was on a ChargeX credit card with $7,000 Canadian. Their early work was with the CBC, making part-time animation as well as documentary and live-action films. The company would make 1.5 thousand Canadian back in profits. Nelvana's first work was a subject series called Small Star Cinema for CBC, a mixture of live action and animation telling children's point of view aspects of life. Following this came the first Christmas special, Christmas Two-Step in 1975, about a girl wanting to win a pageant and be lead dancer. More works came after that, such as A Cosmic Christmas, The Devil and Daniel Mouse, Romeo and Juliet, and Intergalactic Thanksgiving, or Please Don't Eat the Planet. It was the best and worst of times for Nelvana. George Lucas would take interest in the animation studio and commission Nelvana to do the animation for the Star Wars Holiday Special. The work they did were the 10-minute animation specials, which at the time introduced Boba Fett to the Star Wars franchise in the segment of Faithful Wookiee. This was when Nelvana would have the trademark polar bear as their logo. While working on Star Wars, would work on Easter Fever and Take Me Up to the Ball Game. Later in the 80s, Nelvana would have a chance to work on the movie Heavy Metal, which quick fact raised aka cartoon founder Danny Antonucci to fame, but would decline this for the feature film Rock and Rule. From the inspiration, The Devil and Daniel Mouse being renamed to Drats, Nelvana would use all of its resources as well as a total of $8 million in Canadian to make it a success. The problem was the movie was promoted very little and released by MGM in 1983. Despite good critics, it would receive a box office of $30,000. The end. That's the end of Nelvana. Alright, it's not the end of Nelvana. This would have destroyed Nelvana had they not done full-time animation for children's shows. Mr. Microchip, the Edison Twins, and the 20-minute workout were shows worked on to get out of debt. At this time, Nelvana partnered with Deke Entertainment to do the first season of Inspector Gadget as well as the pilot script for the Get Along game. Later in the 80s, the company acquired various American Greetings IPs in its arsenal. From the Strawberry Shortcake series to The Magic of Herself the Elf, Care Bears would be their biggest success from the American Greetings line. It would continue the series after the big blow-up. During 1985, the franchise would receive $23 million as well as a $1.5 million Canadian from the first movie as well as merch sales. Success was so great for Care Bears, 2 more big screen releases such as Adventures in Wonderland and A New Generation were also created in addition. AM Toys would also be acquired by Nelvana to create My Pet Monster and Mad Balls. Later on would make 2 Star Wars based cartoons, Droids and Ewoks. Ted Bastian and Nelvana were in the works of a Doctor Who animated series for BBC, but the pilot script did not get off the ground. By 1985, Nelvana would collaborate with Orion Pictures on the movie Three Amigos, which consisted of anthropomorphic animals lip-syncing of certain songs to the movie, while in 1987, Michael Hurst would work on the movie Burglar with actress Whoopi Goldberg. By 1988, Nelvana and Scholastic would collaborate on The Adventures of Clifford the Big Red Dog, distributed by FHE. The TNT show would be the next live-action show to be released and broadcasted on the Canadian Global Network. By year's end, Nelvana would create Bear Spots, a commercial distribution company, while facing bankruptcy for the second time as an American distributor went out of business airing certain Nelvana shows. Albeit, Nelvana would be saved again by doing Gene de Bernhoft's Babar series as a movie and TV series on HBO, leading Nelvana to also win the ACE Awards in the USA and the Gemini in Canada. 1989 ended strong for Nelvana as ABC would collaborate with the company to air Beetlejuice. Nelvana would rise to greater heights during the 90s. Maurice Sendak's Little Bear, The Magic School Bus, Rupert Bear, the British comic strip, and The Adventures of Tintin were being made by Nelvana. Little Bear, much like Babar, saw a success on Nick Jr. when it aired. More success came when Eek the Cat, Ned's Newt, and Dog City aired. Nelvana only saw one failure, which was ABC's Little Rosie, made by Roseanne Barr. Nelvana would then sign a multi-year contract with Paramount Pictures in 1993 and collaborate with Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall to create book-to-movie series such as The Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White, The Thief of Alway by Clive Barker, and The Sign of the Seahorse by Grinmay Bass and Mask Vision, all of which cost $20 million each to create. None of these works passed the finishing stages for various reasons. To relieve that loss, Columbia Pictures would collaborate with Nelvana to create the psychological thriller Malice. The movie would receive double the amount of the Care Bears movie with a gross of $46 million. At the end of the year, Bear Spots would dissolve. By 1995, Nelvana would create Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. Based on case file books of both series, the shows were canceled as distribution was so little and production was limited. During this time, Golden Books and Nelvana would reach an impasse with an acquisition of $102 million. Only Smith and Lubert were interested at the time. Golden Books purchased Broadway Video as well as its subsidiaries and brought great concern to Hirsch, as he then argued with the COO, Eleanor Olmsted, about this proposition, changing Nelvana for the worse. Months later would drop out of the deal to focus more on its own work. By 1996, Nelvana would get into the interactive video game route with the PC adventure game Toonstruck. In conjunction with Rainbow Animation, the game would tank in the video game industry. A sequel to the game was also canceled due to this. In 1997, Nelvana would absorb the computer animation company Winlight Studios. Following this, Bob and Margaret would be the second adult animation released on the Britain Channel 4. In addition to these shows being created in 1997, Nelvana would make a kids block called Nelvana Kids Club with Media Ventures International from Chicago. It would be aired internationally, however would not last long due to ratings and being drowned out by the bigger Saturday morning blocks. In 1998, Nelvana and CBS would partner and create the CBS Kids Show during the 1998-99 seasons. Problems arose with the same block from the 90s. Saturday mornings would have to follow FCC guidelines and air 5 hours of educational shows every Saturday. This, Nelvana and CBS agreed to. Franklin and Elliot Moose would be made by this time, as Nelvana would acquire Kids Can Press, which were the IP holders of both books, turning both books into franchises. However, Franklin would air a lot longer than Elliot Moose during that time. While those IPs were gaining traction, Nelvana would make 2 shows, Roly-Poly-Oly and Donkey Kong Country, both computer animated shows. Roly-Poly-Oly would last longer in seasons on Playhouse Disney, while Donkey Kong Country, which aired on Fox Kids on Saturday mornings, did not last too long. Reports concluded that Nelvana would receive a 75% revenue raise by the end of '98. By '99, Nelvana and PBS Kids would get into a $40 million partnership to create 6 new series for the block, The Bookworm Bunch. Shows like Marvin the Tap Dancing Horse, George Shrinks, Elliot Moose, Timothy Goes to School, and 7 Little Monsters would take over the block. To end the '90s success, Nelvana would move into anime by acquiring the rights of Clamp's Cardcaptor Sakura, later named Cardcaptors for North America, and airing in Toonami on 1999. Now, as a fan of this show, okay, we're gonna have to talk about some of that stuff, all right? If you remember anything about Cardcaptors, that's a little rant. You remember how they said Clo cards?
Cardcaptors of the cloud. Secrets of the cloud.
Yeah, you got it, sister. You can call me Kiro. I keep the cloud cards from getting into trouble.
Also, why does he sound like a gym bro? I'm just asking the following questions.
Kids love it.
Nelvana, with all its failures and faults, came out of the 80s and 90s a cartoon studio juggernaut. With so many shows in its playlist, Nelvana by the mid-2000s would go for broke making its own channel. The company would apply for a channel through the Canadian Radio Television Communications Commission under Category 2. The 2 channels that were going to be released were called the Nelvana Channel and BookNet. Chorus would have been a joint contributor of the channel at that time, however the channels were not released by the date the licenses expired. Palo Alto was acquired by Nelvana for $74 million in Canadian for the IP Klutz, while Kids Can utilize the merchandise. By the mid-2000s, Chorus would march right in and acquire Nelvana for $740 million Canadian and change the studio from the inside out. At this time, YTV and Treehouse were absorbed into Chorus, and the company thought, well, we're buying out prominent Canadian television companies, why not get an animation studio? That's when Chorus started to go absolutely nuts. By 2001, Nelvana would get the rights to the IP Beyblade and Menabots as 2 new animations to dub, with the help of Hasbro and Mitsubishi, of course. In the year, both Smith and Lubert left the company. As Lubert reported, the time has come that Chorus will stop acquiring for a while and start operating. John Cassidy has made that clear, but this makes my job less rather than more. Michael Hirsch would step down months later, and Paul Robertson would be his successor. On top of all this, Chorus then writes a $200 million Canadian write-off and lays off 50%, then bringing employees down to 200. Hirsch would remain as supervisor to the company. A year after the step-downs, Nelvana would launch a home entertainment distribution division, having companies such as Funimation Texas and Maverick from Britain. Other companies to get in were short-lived companies like ADV Films and heavy hitters such as MGM, Disney, and Lionsgate. In 2002, Max and Ruby from Book Arthur, Rosemary Wells, and short films from the 80s and 90s would be made into a series aired on Treehouse TV on May 3rd, 2002 in Canada, and the US October 2nd, 2002, and became the top 5 longest running shows made by Nelvana. Fast forward to 2004, Nelvana would make shorts for YTV as an animation anthology under Funpack. The goal was to see which short would be made into a TV show, and during that time, Sidekick would be made from a short show to a TV show. Following this, The Backyardigans by Janice Burgess would be taken on by Nickelodeon as the show was greenlit from a pilot script. Nelvana as well as Nick Digital would collaborate on the show from the trial pilot given. By 2006, multiple companies such as Scholastic, Nelvana, Classic Media, Ion Media Works in conjunction with NBC Universal would make Cubo, the multi-platform children's educational block, to compete with then PBS Kids Sprout, Go, Nick Jr., and Noggin. Fast forward to 2007, Nelvana would acquire the rights to Bakugan Battle Brawlers and found it to be a huge success on the Teletoon channel as well as Cartoon Network in the United States, making it the successful anime dub to date. Nelvana would take on more anime dubs as well as revive the Beyblade series. By 2010, Synergy SP, Hasbro, Takara Tomy, and Tatsunyo Pro would collaborate with Nelvana to acquire the IP rights for Metal Fusion. Airing for 141 episodes, Nelvana would also get the IP Bay Warriors and its series franchises. Fast forward to 2011, Detention Air was released on ABC3 in Canada. By 2012, Toon Boom would be acquired, and at this time, 16 was made with both Toon Boom and Nelvana, leading to this acquisition. By 2015, Scott Dyer would be named president and Pam Westman to be the head of Nelvana Enterprises. Fast forward to 2016, the Nelvana logo would get a new redesign to celebrate the 45th anniversary of the studio and commemorate the joint venture of Chorus, while also acquiring Shaw Media. At MIPCOM, Nelvana would demo shows such as Hotel Transylvania, Esme and Roy, and The Bravest Warriors. In the later months, Nelvana and Discovery Communications would get into a joint global venture and create shows for both North and Latin America. Under Red Knot, Binky and the Dog and Pony Show were created. Fast forward to 2018, Nelvana gets Cinedigm to be a home video distributor in the United States, while also reviving the Bakugan Battle Planet series with the help of Spin Master Entertainment, Man of Action Studios, and TMS Entertainment. By 2019, The Most Magnificent Thing is released as a short film, while Scott Dyer will retire from Nelvana and Pam Westman becomes his successor. By 2020, Thomas and Friends by Mattel would be released, and that's all she wrote for now. After 45 years, Nelvana continues to grow a lot stronger, continuing to take IPs like The Fairly Odd Parents Season 1 to 5, originally done by Frederator Inc., and distributed internationally under Nelvana, while also fighting bankruptcy twice, ultimately made it one of the most timeless, albeit it was inevitable that its creators would sell to Chorus. Nelvana had the potential to be its competitors, but saw it should not get too greedy and focus more on the craft and acquiring IPs than to create content and generate a general audience. To be saved by children's books to television series is what made Nelvana a household name. From Little Bear, Magic School Bus, Max and Ruby, The Backyardigans, to action shows like Beyblade and Bakugan, we all grew up with Nelvana, no matter the generation. To say there is a downfall would be an understatement, as the studio continues to focus on what made it a success in the first place. And as someone who grew up with the shows, one can only hope that it continues to grow in the right direction. With Chorus, only one can hope.
Epilogue.
I don't know where the cards have gone.
I brought some pudding.
Oh, my favorite! That book I was guarding had cloud cards inside it.
That dub right there, the only dub you need. I don't understand.
You were saying